subject of scrutiny here. I wanted to cover a quick little topic real fast, and it's about the epidemic of heroin and opioid addiction and overdose. This picture is super famous. If anybody, it's fair use. If anybody hasn't seen this one, is these two people are overdosed dead, and they had the woman's grandson was strapped in the back. So this kid's probably scarred for life. And then there's this one, which also went very famous and viral. A little child in Walmart, and her mom's basically dead in the aisle right there. And this poor little baby, is just clinging to her, and it's just really sad. I watched a documentary on HBO, and it's crazy. Some of these people are straight up saying, like, it's the devil. The devil is selling me, relief from my problems, but just for a little time. And then he takes away the pain, but it's just for a little while. And every time he does it, he just chips away at your soul. And then she said, after your soul is exhausted and you have none left to give, when you take that last hit, that's your last hit. That's your overdose hit. That's the one that gets you. And I thought it was very spiritual and very honest. And it's probably the most honest that person has been maybe in a year, maybe 2 years, I don't know. But she was saying how just insane it is. And then okay, let's look at the actual. This is from NBC News. Whether or not you think they're fake news, they do give you a little truth here, especially on this stuff. The main stuff on TV, they don't give it to you. This is an online article, and it doesn't get too crazy. It says, the deadly drug overdose epidemic that has been ravaging the nation may be even worse than we realize. And this is from this year, August. This is a couple days ago. A new University of Virginia study says the number of deaths due to heroin and opioid overdose have actually been severely underreported. Of course, because they want people to die. I read thousands of death figures for 2008-2014 and concluded that the mortality rates were 24% higher for opioids and 22% higher for heroin than had previously been reported. And in quotes, opioid mortality rate changes were considerably understated in Pennsylvania, Indiana, New Jersey, and Arizona. The study states, increase in heroin death rates were understated in most states and by large amounts in Pennsylvania, Indiana, New Jersey, Louisiana, and Alabama. And blah, blah, opioid commission. And they want Trump to declare a national emergency to deal with the crisis. And there's that FEMA, martial law, forced drug testing. I mean, who knows where this is going to really go. I don't want to get too deep into what I think might happen. And he says the occurs when no specific drug is identified on the death certificate, so they can't do it, basically. So they've been underreporting it, and it's an epidemic this big, but here it is, they're saying they're underreporting it. So that is very interesting. And then in that documentary I saw, it talks about how from 2001 till now, the number of opioid-related deaths has quadrupled. And then I said, well, that's interesting that they would put that in there. And right before that, they had flashed, this guy has been sober for 33 days and did 33, and it was all in red, and it was very creepy. And the 33 was over a black part of his shirt, so it was red and black. But let's look at this right here. And this is from The Balance. I don't know, fair use, whatever. War on Terror Facts, Costs, and Timeline. He says, who spent more on it? And it says right here. It says, the War on Terror is a military campaign launched by the Bush administration in response to the Al-Qaeda, bullshit, 9/11 terrorist attacks, bullshit, pardon my language. The War on Terror includes the Afghanistan War and the War in Iraq, and it added $2 trillion to the debt of the fiscal year 2018 budget. So that's how far ahead he borrowed from, 2018. We had a whole 2 presidential terms since he's been out of office, and now a 3rd one, and we're still not there. And he announced the War on Terror on September 20th, 2001. It says it doesn't end there. It says, okay, well, there's that. And then it says right here, the ongoing costs of the Afghanistan War and the ongoing costs of the Iraq War. Now, if we killed the dictators or whatever it is that they're trying to say that they're doing, why are we still there? We should have left. And then we did leave, but only a little bit, and we left minimal security there. Let's see what our minimal security is doing there. And then, oh, look at this. Oh, okay. Poppy Fields of Afghanistan, and we got American troops guarding the poppy fields of Afghanistan. People are always like, blood for oil, blood for oil. It was never about oil. Oil isn't renewable. Oil doesn't grow back every year. Oil is a pain in the ass to extract. This is cheap, highly addictive, and way more valuable per gram than oil. Insanely more valuable. This is what they wanted. This is what the Iraq War was really about. And this is Afghanistan, but that's cool. Wait, hold on. I didn't pull up that one too, I guess. Now let's check, oh no, I did get that one. Hold on, stand by. And then right here, this one's from 2008. Opium fields spread across Iraq as farmers try to make ends meet. The cultivation of opium poppies whose product is turned into heroin is spreading rapidly across Iraq as farmers find out they can no longer make a living through growing traditional crops. Yes, because the CIA is paying a shit ton of money for heroin, so of course. Afghan with experience in planting poppies have been helping farmers switch to producing opium in fertile parts of Diyala province, once famous for its oranges and pomegranates, northeast of Baghdad. Ain't growing pomegranates no more. It says at a heavily guarded farm near the town of Buriz, south of the provincial capital Bakuba, poppies are grown between the orange trees in order to hide them, according to a local source. Okay, and it's saying that the Independent was the first to break the story. Al-Qaeda still resisting the U.S. Now it's ISIS. They just keep changing the name of the boogeyman. But this is from Independent. You can look at that if you really want to. But there's tons of stuff on there. You can just pick any random article and it all confirms this because they don't count on you to connect those kinds of dots. People don't connect that. They're just like, oh, the opium fields, that's terrible. I'm sure they're burning them down. No, they're not shipping all the opium to America. That's for sure. Now let's look at this little graph here. Number of deaths from heroin and non-methadone synthetics. And see, I piped in prior to 2001, and it wouldn't give me anything. I went to this is Center for Disease, National Institute for Drug Abuse. I went to Center for Disease Control. I tried like 4 different sources, and I couldn't find anything pre-2002. But look at these statistics now of deaths. And if you're trying to eliminate a population, why would you stop doing this? Look at how many people are dying. And males especially. Males are what you want to die more of because males are strong and they tend to be more independent and more free thinkers. No offense to women. I don't think women aren't free thinker women or whatever, but traditionally men are the protectors. And if you have a mostly female population, it's very easily controlled and manipulated. Anyway, I just think it's funny how in 2002 is when they started. I wonder how small that graph really got, how little it was before then. Because when I was a kid, like a little kid, I remember there was hardly any heroin addicts. You never even heard about that. That was such a dirty, underground, like a guy who knows a guy who had an uncle who did it, that kind of thing. My uncle did it, and he was the only person I knew that ever even did heroin or tried heroin. And he was a Vietnam vet. So, this just definitely makes me look at it. And then it explains here in the article that the super big spike for 2014 and 2015 is due to the fentanyl or however you say it. Right here. And it says the latter category is dominated by illicit fentanyl overdose. When combined with heroin, these numbers capture illicit opioid deaths. Chart is overlaid by a line graph showing the number of deaths of females and males. From 2002 to 2015, there was a 5.9-fold increase in the total number of deaths. So, yeah, that pretty much says it all right there. I mean, you can agree or disagree, but it's just coincidence that the 2 countries that make the most opium that we invaded and now we're controlling and we're still there today patrolling, and the ongoing costs of maintaining this war. Doesn't seem like it's a war. It seems like they're just protecting poppy fields. And I'm sure you could find soldiers online, commenting on this. I didn't really look into that end of it. I didn't need to. I mean, these are all mainstream sources, so people are always like, oh, that's fake news. That's not CNN. But I mean, what is this? National Institute of Drug Abuse. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry right there. You can go either way you want with that. You can go to the soldier end of it. But I think there's definitely a spiritual connection there. Multiple times in this documentary, I was watching several of them called The Devil. You know, this addiction is a devil. It's a demon. It's on my back. And they're like, how come? And then it's funny because you see these guys, and one guy even says, he's like, I see these friends, you know, and they're like, man, I'm done, man. I'm getting out of this. I'm not doing it no more. And I'm going to detox or whatever. And he's like, and they go and they come out and they don't relapse ever. They stay sober. And he's like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with that? Well, if you look at most of these people who are, in my opinion, again, these people who are getting clean off of it, most of these people, they find God or they find religion. And they I don't want to say that the people who are on heroin are possessed. I mean, that could, you know, maybe as a metaphor, maybe literally, maybe as a spiritual sense, but there is definitely evil and wrong inside of them, and they know that it's not them. So I don't know what the definition of possession is, but it sounds pretty close to me. So in my opinion, I think there's definitely esoteric knowledge behind this whole addiction. I think that there is definitely something going on with that. You know, I'd love to hear people's opinions on that, but I think the people that find God and expel these demons are the ones that tend to stay cleaner longer. They go back to their families, you know, and I mean, I hate to say it, but I went through a little spurt myself, you know, and, you know, I was taking, you know, I never did heroin, but I was taking prescription pills there for a little bit, and I was definitely abusing them, and it never got out of hand to where like I was, you know, blowing people or selling my stuff. You know, I was a hard worker. I went to work and I would take a pill in the morning, I'd take a pill before bed, and that was it. You know, and I was getting them prescribed, so it wasn't really costing me any money. But I seen the slippery slope, and I seen these kinds of figures, and that's when I started doing a lot of like real research. And if you look for real physical evidence, you can find evidence for God. I usually like to get into the religious aspect of this. I like to stick more to the physical facts, but in my personal journey past addiction and then down the rabbit hole and looking at all this esoteric knowledge, and then you start seeing the actual spiritual warfare that's going on outside, it definitely changes you. And once you are awakened, you can't go back to sleep. So no matter what, you're not going to forget that symbol right there for this company is a satanic symbol, and there's a ton of esoteric knowledge there. And then you know that on some level that symbol has power, and putting it there is giving them more power. You know, you wonder why everything has a symbol. Every company has a symbol. Why do they need a symbol? And if you think back in old times, all the old houses, all the countries, everything, they all have a symbol, a flag, a sigil, whatever you want to call it. They've had them forever. There's nothing new under the sun. And that is the truest thing besides the sky is the limit, because it is. Subject to scrutiny. Like, share, subscribe.